I've had a lot of questions recently about how to not relapse and what happens when you relapse and what exactly is a relapse on semen retention, etc. And I really don't like this question. I just don't, because I think that the question that you're asking yourself here is the wrong kind of question. It's the wrong question to ask yourself. The question isn't how to stop relapsing. The question is, why are you relapsing? Why are you doing this? The question is, what is the root cause of your relapsing? It's not really anything having to do with how do I stop? Okay, you're trying to treat the symptom. You're not trying to treat the actual, the cause. And so on this Semen Retention Sunday episode here, on the Regal Change channel, I want to talk to you guys about this topic with relapsing. And you don't need to be worried if you're relapsing. Now, I'm not encouraging you to relapse, and I don't think that's necessarily the good thing to do, but I would say that if you do it, don't be so hard on yourself. Recognize why you're doing it, recognize what caused you to get there, and then move forward accordingly. You don't have to beat yourself into submission from your own conscience that's a tyrant, okay? There's something that is there that you maybe need to look at a little closer inside yourself. And it's not that being on semen retention is easy either. You got to give yourself some grace, because it's not for the weak. This is not for the weak. And if you think that it is, then I don't think you fully understand what exactly semen retention is. And I'm not saying that you need to have the mindset of, oh, this is difficult. I'm just saying that it's a process. And once you get to the point in which you're coasting, it's going to be a lot easier. But to get to that point to where you have to take off on the airplane and you have to get the speed and the velocity to get up there, once you're there, it's fine. But it's kind of difficult to get to that point, especially if you're bombarded by sin and temptation everywhere you look, which most of us in this day and age are. Everywhere you look, there's a woman that's almost naked on a billboard or whatever, or just out and about. I don't know what it is, but sports bras are being more accepted everywhere. It's another, it's just another thing now. I remember even 10 years ago, when wearing a sports bra in public, at least where I live, it was considered kind of edgy. It was kind of a sign that you're promiscuous and you're not really one to be around if you want to be around a person at all. If you just want to be around them for a good time. But now it's all of these, even Christian women that are that are having their one night stands and such, and then going to church on Sunday and acting like it didn't happen. That's the kind of world that we live in now. But I don't think that you need to be too harsh on yourself for recognizing that this is something that you might be struggling with, and recognize that it's part of the process to go through some times where you might relapse or you might be edging. That's another big thing that people do. If you're edging, now what is edging and what exactly is a relapse? So relapse, in my definitions of the relapsing, is you're consciously putting an effort to release your seed. And you are intentionally or unintentionally, whether you're but you are conscious, you're relapsing and you're releasing your seed. Now, if you have a long-term relationship and maybe you set like a time, I don't know, a week or a month or whatever it is between you and that person, I don't think that that's a relapse per se. If you like agree to that and then you go back to having intimacy and all that after, you're in the long-term relationship, right? I don't think that's an issue. But I think that, but specifically if you're in a long-term relationship and you're planning to have kids with that person. But if you are like in a wet dream or something, or have a nightfall, as some people call it a nightfall, I just call it a wet dream. And a spiritual attack, most of the time that's a wet dream as well, especially on semen retention. But a wet dream I don't count as a relapse. Why would you, being unconscious and releasing the seed, why would you think that that's a relapse? So I've had wet dreams, of course, in the past few years that I've been on semen retention, but I don't count it as I don't count them as wet or a relapse because I'm unconscious. I'm not consciously choosing that. So that's why I don't think that it's really necessary for you to be so hard on yourself, especially if you have like a wet dream as well. It's not a big deal. Like, just get back on the horse. You might feel a little awkward. You might feel a little cloudy in your mind, a little fuzzy. Maybe you might feel a little bloated. I know sometimes that happens to me whenever I have wet dreams. I feel kind of, I don't know, just, it feels like somebody tried to instill pride in me. It's like it's trying, like the Jezebels are trying to destiny swap me. That's kind of what it feels like. And so, again, though, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself about it, because that's a good sign. If the demons and the Jezebels are trying to attack you and get you back into sin and to temptation, that means that you're moving away from it. And so that means that you're actually making progress. And I see that as a good thing. I see that as a positive thing. So, don't really let these, I don't know what you call them, these spiritual gurus. I'm not a guru, but I will help you develop a godlike mindset. I would rather you be godly, and I would rather be an example of godliness than to be like a guru. I'm not a guru, okay? I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student. Like, even though I've been on this path for a long time, it's not the case that I know everything. And I always have a learner's mindset. I always have a growing mindset. That's just who I am. And that's the way that I think life is able to bless you in more ways. God's able to bless you in more ways. All right? Now, as far as edging goes, edging is what happens when you consciously look at a woman for too long. Like you're admiring, and maybe not even admiring is the right term here. You're lusting after her body in all the wrong ways. And it's not a sin to find a woman attractive. Okay, let me make that clear. It's not a sin to find a woman attractive. But when you gaze upon her for too long and you lust after her, now granted, she might be having the vibration of lust putting out there, depending on what she's wearing and who she is, right? Because vibrations, frequency, energy, it doesn't lie. But if you're able to see through this, then you're going to be able to steer clear of it. And they're probably not going to even find you attractive anyway, unless they just want to take your energy. Because most of those kinds of people are just energy vampires. And a lot of these women out here are actually possessed by demons. Okay, their flesh is their mask. Okay, have you ever looked out And, you see a woman, and then you look into her eyes, and you just see no light there. You see no light at all. And it's very hypnotic. There's this hypnotizing aspect. Golly, it's bloody hot out here now. Earlier when I made my first video for the Semen Retention Sunday, it was a bit chilly. But now with the sun, holy crap, is it warm. But I like it though. I'm going to enjoy this heat, while we still got it. In the place where I live, here in the mountains in northern Utah, in the United States, man, it can get pretty dang cold about 6 months out of the year. We only have about 6 months where, weather is normal. So I'm going to enjoy it, even though it's bloody hot. But, edging is just, I don't think edging is when you look at a woman in the eyes to establish, a sense of connection. Or I think even the Bible says that it's better to look into the, what is the exact phrasing of the Bible that says? I can't remember the exact phrasing, but the Bible does say it's better to look into the eyes of a woman than on her body, or something like that. Somebody can probably find that verse specifically, but I think if you're going to look at a woman, look into her eyes. Like, you'll see her eyes and you'll see her for who she is. Because that's really ultimately what you want to see, is a woman for who she is and what she's about, and see her as a person. Unless she's possessed by a demon, then obviously she's not a person. And that's just the way that it, the cookie crumbles. This is a vanilla tobacco. I had like the black raspberry tobacco for the last little while, and now I'm trying this vanilla tobacco, and you know what? It kind of tastes like, I haven't had vanilla ice cream for a long time, probably years, but it kind of tastes like a mix of vanilla ice cream and tree bark. And you know what? It might sound kind of strange, but it actually kind of tastes pretty good. Oh yeah. But yeah, you don't need to be too hard on yourself about this kind of stuff. And I would say that ultimately, whatever you are wanting to accomplish with semen retention, don't let it be about like, how many days can I go? How many days can I go? How many days? Like, a lot of people get caught up in the, oh, I'm trying to get to 80 days or 90 days or 30 days or even 2 days. I think the mentality, the godlike mindset mentality that I would encourage you to have is to just treat it like a lifestyle change. Treat it like a diet for your body or a nutrition plan for your body. And don't change that unless you're planning to be in a relationship with a woman and have kids with her. Because you know what? It makes life a whole lot simpler and purposeful. So why not? That's the way I see it, is why wouldn't you want it like that? But I understand that a lot of people do this practice just because, they want to get the attention from women or whatnot, and they just want to act like, they've got something going on, when in reality it's like a pseudo spirituality. And a lot of people think semen retention is pseudoscience. And those are the depleted coomers out there, right? Those are the people that worship the pink palace, or have no religion or religious affiliation. Now, I'm not religious. I follow Christ, but I'm not religious. And it allows me to be more at peace with spirit and truth. And when you're with spirit and truth all the time, you just kind of be and act as a vessel of the ancestral father, no matter what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so I can sit here after getting back from the gym, enjoying the sunshine, listening to the birds sing, enjoying a bit of pipe tobacco. And nicotine, I'm not encouraging anybody to really take nicotine or anything like that, but you know what's weird is I definitely feel more productive. And I learned that nicotine is what's it called? It's an NOO, what is it called? Well, anyway, I can't remember the term exactly, but it's basically enhancing your neurological functions. It basically gives oil to the machine that is your brain and cancels out any kind of rust spots. Now, it can be addictive for people. I've seen it be addictive to people, but I very much have like a practice that I do, and I'm very intentional with what I'm doing. And you know, I don't see this as to be like a I don't know. A lot of people think that it's like, oh, well, why are you doing that? Like, it's bad for you. Okay, well, I'm not inhaling it. Okay, I'm not inhaling it. And the thing is like, if it works for you and you're not really hurting anybody, yeah, there's possibility for addiction with everything. But a lot of these people that are complaining about the tobacco stuff, they're the same one. If I look at their profile picture, or they're just anonymous, which I don't even take anonymous comments seriously anymore. But the people that are, you know, complaining about it are fat. Okay, it's like, well, you can't put down the cheeseburger and you're trying to tell other people what's bad for you? Okay, buddy. And it just goes to show what people are like. And why you don't really need to take too many things too seriously, especially even on semen retention. Take it sincerely, but don't take it too seriously, because it's just going to hinder your possibilities for growth, and it's just going to hinder your relationship to God. Accept that you have flaws. Accept that there are things that you could be working on. But above all, don't treat yourself as an enemy. If you can learn how to love yourself as an enemy, then the enemy disappears. And I think that's really what Jesus meant to say when he said to love your enemies. I think you could even talk about how you can love the enemies inside you. Because where do you think the devil lives? You think the devil's just out there? Or do you think the devil can have influence over you inside you? I think we all have our personal devils. And it's just a matter of how we associate ourselves with them and what we do with the cards that we're given. So, with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. You know, don't take it personally. If you relapse, like, take it to be a learning experience. Don't try to tyrannicize yourself into forcing yourself into believing something or doing something. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself some grace and learn from the experience. What is the root cause of it? Because if you know the root cause, you'll be a lot more better off in the long run. So you'll know how to deal with it. So with all that being said, peace. Until next time.